So, um, my name is Teacher Alice. So we're going to be learning about manufacturing of plastics. Yeah. So, among the different methods of manufacturing plastic, we have um, transfer molding. Yeah. And so today in today's lesson, we have our lesson objectives, and we're going to look into what is transfer molding, the advantages of transfer molding, and the disadvantages of transfer molding. And so we will see in our PowerPoint presentation, we're going to go through all these three objectives and get to understand more about this process of manufacturing plastics. So let's go to introduction. Sorry. So what are plastics? So plastics are materials that contain carbon and hydrogen made from raw materials like oil, fossil fuels, through a process of polymerization of raw materials, resulting in a product called a monomer. So the monomer is a base material for making all plastic, to make plastic materials for construction. So among the many methods of manufacturing plastic, we have the transfer molding. It's a method of manufacturing plastics, and it's which is more or less regarded as an improvement to compression molding, and we'll get to know more about compression molding in the next lesson. Yeah, and so the good thing about this method of manufacturing plastic is that it just reduces the waste that is formed. Yeah, because of that of the process by which it creates the plastic materials, and as you continue, how the process is all moves about is uh, in transfer molding, a blank is loaded into the loading chamber. We get to see a good pictorial view of what this means in the next slide. Um, and so the blank is loaded and preheated, and so that preheated blank is loaded into loaded into the loading chamber, and then when it is heated and the plunger falls on it, it is distributed into several cavities. Yes, and so the plunger falls onto the rubber. Yeah, so and it falls onto the rubber. It is squeezed, and so the rubber is forced through the cavities, is forced into the cavities, which give these particular piece its shape. Here we can see the cavities. Yeah, and so we have the cartridge heaters, we have the material or the rubber or the charge, and then we have the die cavities. Yeah, and so you can see each has a different shape. And the point about transfer molding is that, like in this particular process, the plunger hits upon the material. The material is forced through into the die cavities, and so takes a shape. Then it moves and take another shape and take another shape to form that particular material. On the other hand, we can have two die cavities, separate ends, and so the charge is forced through and takes the desired shape, as you can see here, and so it forms the required material. All right. Yes, and so as we continue, so that is what majorly the process is all about. Yeah, let me see if I've missed anything. Yes, so the rubber is forced to flow through the channels and gates. Preheating takes place in the rubber, and this preheating easily reduces the curing time. And so the thing that you need to maintain to understand about this process is that as long as the injection pressure does not exceed the closing pressure of the mold, a well balanced dosage of rubber is received or is loaded into each cavity, which now reduces the formation of flash. Yeah. Instead, we can go now to the advantages of transfer molding. In case of any questions, you can hit it in the comments or you can throw it into my email. We can get to discuss more. The preparation of blanks and their handling is made easier. The preheating of the rubber reduces the curing time. Um, Number three, since the rubber is preheated, it flows easier and fills the mold cavities more efficiently. So we've understood that that rubber is preheated, yeah, which now makes it flow easily. It's not just forced into the cavities. Number four, the mold is closed when the rubber is injected into the cavities, which means that less flash is formed and smaller dimensional variations of the product are obtained. Number five, for rubber metal bonding, the rubber makes better contact with the metal in the form of a new and fresh, clean surface. Uh-huh. Now, to the disadvantages of transfer molding. The molds are more complicated and expensive. Parts with textile inserts cannot be produced. And finally, the method requires materials that are relatively simple to process. Okay, finally, we can summarize on this. So we've been able to understand that transfer molding is a method of manufacturing plastics, and since it has multiple cavities, each receiving an equal injection of the mold, on the other hand, the rubber is preheated, which reduces the curing time. These are the key points. The advantage is that less flash is formed in the process as the mold is closed when the rubber is being injected into the cavity. There is equal pressure in the when the rubber is being forced and when the cavities are closing up. The major disadvantage of the method is that it's expensive and complicated. Yes, and so that is more about this fine process of transfer molding. If there are any questions, you may hit up my inbox and get to discuss more about this.